All right, buckle up, everybody, because today we're diving headfirst into Christopher Nolan's Tenet.
Oh, this is a good one.
It is. And you sent in some seriously fascinating analysis of this film,
Oh, yeah.
and I'm excited to unpack it all.
Let's go.
We're talking time travel,
Mm-hmm.
but not the kind you're probably used to.
Definitely not.
So to help us navigate this labyrinth of temporal paradoxes,
Right.
we've got our expert on all things mind-bogglingly complex.
I love it.
Before we get lost in the weeds here, can
Yeah.
you set the stage for us?
Sure.
What's the central conflict in Tenet?
Well, imagine a world on the brink of World War III, but the battle isn't over land or resources. It's a fight for control over time itself.
Okay, so time is the weapon.
Yes.
That's intense.
Yeah.
But who are the players in this temporal tug-of-war?
Okay, Sam.
And what are they after?
The film throws us right into this tangled web of factions. Terrorists, the Ukrainian military, the CIA, Russians, and then there's this enigmatic organization known as Tenet.
Oh, very mysterious.
They're all racing to get their hands on this mysterious substance called plutonium-241.
Plutonium-241, that's our MacGuffin, right?
Yes.
The thing that everyone wants, and that sets the whole plot in motion.
Exactly.
But how does this plutonium tie into the whole concept of time manipulation?
That's where things get really interesting.
Okay.
The plutonium is key to understanding how time reversal works in Tenet.
Okay.
Instead of traveling through time linearly, this film introduces the idea of temporal turnstiles.
Temporal turnstiles.
Yes.
Those sound a lot more complex than your average time machine.
They are.
What do they do?
Think of it like this.
Okay.
A mirror reflects light.
Mm-hmm.
These turnstiles reverse the flow of time for whatever passes through them.
Oh, okay.
So imagine stepping through one of these doorways, and suddenly everything around you is moving in reverse.
Okay. Yeah.
Actions unfold backward, cause and effect are flipped, and you're essentially interacting with a time-reversed version of yourself.
Whoa. So it's like stepping into a mirror world.
Yes.
But instead of your reflection, you're seeing yourself moving backwards in time.
Exactly.
That's wild.
Wild.
And it gets even weirder, right?
Mm-hmm.
When you consider how this affects objects.
Yes.
Like, one of the most striking visuals in the film, for me at least, was the concept of reversed bullets.
Oh, yeah.
They're pretty hard to wrap your head around.
Mm-hmm.
They look like they just defy the laws of physics.
They do.
How do they even work within this whole time reversal concept?
It all comes down to perspective.
Okay.
From the viewpoint of a reversed bullet, time is flowing normally.
Okay.
It's the person in forward time who appears to be moving in reverse.
Right.
So while you see the bullet flying back into the gun,
Mm-hmm.
from the bullet's perspective, it's being fired normally.
Right.
It's the person who's moving backwards in time.
So it's like two cars passing each other on a highway.
Okay.
Each driver sees the other moving in the opposite direction, even though they're both going forward.
Uh-huh.
Except here, it's, bullets and people traveling through time
Yeah.
instead of cars on the road.
Yeah.
That's a good analogy.
It is a good analogy.
And this difference in perspective is what leads to one of the film's most unsettling concepts.
Yes.
Wounds inflicted by a reversed object, they don't heal
No.
because the damage is constantly being undone.
Mm-hmm.
In reverse time,
Right.
it would be like trying to stitch up a wound
Yeah.
while the body is simultaneously trying to unstitch it.
Exact.
That's a horrifying visual.
It is.
Imagine a wound that never heals.
I know.
So how does someone who's been reversed even survive in this scenario?
Good question.
Do they have to live in some kind of reverse bubble?
Essentially, yes.
Really?
For a reversed person's injuries to mend, they need to exist in an environment where time itself is also reversed.
Okay.
Otherwise, their body is trying to heal in the wrong direction.
Oh, wow. So Tenet takes this mirror image concept and applies it to both time and space.
It does.
That's pretty mind-blowing.
It is.
But this intricate concept raises some classic questions about paradoxes.
Yes.
Like, what about the grandfather paradox?
Right.
The classic dilemma of going back in time and accidentally changing history,
Yeah.
like preventing your own birth by, say, killing your grandfather.
Right.
Does Tenet offer any solutions to this paradox?
Well, the film tackles this head on.
Okay.
Instead of allowing for blatant alterations to the past, Tenet suggests that history can be shaped, influenced,
Okay.
but not fundamentally rewritten.
Okay.
It's less about changing what happened and more about understanding why it happened.
So going back in time wouldn't be about rewriting history, but maybe understanding from a different perspective, uncovering the motivations and forces that led to specific events.
Exactly.
Okay.
Like, think of it this way. You might judge a woman for killing her husband.
Mm-hmm.
What if you could go back in time and uncover years of abuse she suffered?
Yeah.
The event itself remains unchanged, but your understanding of it is completely transformed.
Oh, wow. That's a powerful way to frame it.
Yeah.
It's like Tenet is saying what's done is done, but that doesn't mean we can't learn from it, gain a new perspective on the events that shape the present.
Exactly.
It's about uncovering the truth behind history, not trying to erase it.
Yes, and that's where the film introduces the concept of foreknowledge.
More knowledge.
The idea that individuals can use their knowledge of the future to plan actions in the past.
Right.
It's less about changing the past and more about fulfilling it.
So it's like knowing the ending of a book
Okay, yeah.
and then reading it again,
Yeah,
seeing how all the pieces fit together,
right.
how certain actions inevitably led to that conclusion.
Exactly.
Okay.
Tenet plays with this idea of a predetermined path where even our attempts to deviate from it might be part of the plan all along.
Like destiny.
Kinda, yeah.
Like, are we truly in control of our choices, or are we just playing out a script that's already been written?
That's a question Tenet invites us to ponder.
Yeah.
It challenges our understanding of free will
Mm.
and suggests that our lives might be part of a much larger, interconnected temporal web.
This is all incredibly intriguing, but I have to admit my head is starting to spin a little.
And
So before we jump into the deeper implications of this predetermined path and the forces at play, let's take a moment to digest what we've uncovered so far.
Sure.
We got time travel as a mirror, the mystery of the plutonium, a global battle for control of time, reversed bullets with mind-bending consequences, and the paradox of changing the past.
It's a lot.
What else could this film possibly throw at us?
Buckle up. We're just getting started.
Oh boy,
Tenet is a film packed with twists and turns, and there's still so much more to explore.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
I can't wait.
You're right, we've barely scratched the surface. Tenet is a film that keeps you thinking long after the credits roll.
It does.
And one of the biggest questions it raises is, what if someone actually tried to reverse the flow of time for the entire world?
Reverse the entire world, not just individual objects or people, but everything. That sounds terrifying. Why would anyone even attempt something so drastic?
Well, the video explains that it stems from a future where Earth is on the verge of collapse, environmental disaster, societal breakdown, the whole 9 yards.
Oh, wow.
And some people in this bleak future believe that reversing time is the only way to save humanity.
So they're not necessarily villains trying to destroy the world.
Right.
They're more like desperate survivors hoping to hit the reset button.
Exactly. It's a twisted form of salvation.
Yeah.
But the film doesn't present this as a simple good versus evil scenario.
Right.
Like, there's another faction that believes reversing time wouldn't save the world but destroy it.
Okay.
And at the heart of this conflict is something called the algorithm.
The algorithm, that sounds ominous.
It is.
What is it exactly? And how does it connect to this whole time reversal apocalypse?
The algorithm is a device capable of inverting the entropy of the entire world.
Okay.
It's basically a doomsday machine that can make time flow in reverse on a global scale.
Oh, wow.
The scientist who created it, realizing the potential consequences, decides to break it into 9 pieces and hide them in the past.
Okay, so it's a race against time, literally.
Yes.
One group wants to assemble the algorithm and initiate this temporal reset, while the other, including our protagonist and the Tenet organization, are trying to prevent it from ever being activated.
You got it. They're fighting to preserve the timeline as we know it, even if it means facing a future that seems doomed.
Wow.
But here's a question that's been bugging me.
Okay.
If this scientist knew the algorithm was so dangerous, why not destroy it completely? Why break it up and scatter the pieces?
That's a great question.
Yeah.
Maybe it ties back to this idea of a predetermined path that we were talking about earlier. Maybe she couldn't destroy it because on some level it was destined to exist.
The video hints at that. It emphasizes this recurring theme in Tenet. What's happened has already happened.
No.
It suggests a degree of predestination, a cosmic script that's already been written,
Okay.
and maybe trying to defy that script, even by destroying the algorithm, is exactly what leads to its creation in the first place.
So it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Right.
The very act of trying to change the future might be what causes it to happen.
Exactly.
It's a pretty bleak outlook on free will.
It is.
But it
But
fits with this whole closed-loop idea that we've seen throughout the film.
yeah, it's a fascinating paradox, isn't it? But if everything's predetermined, what's the point of fighting? Why even bother going back in time if you can't ultimately change the outcome?
Maybe it's not about changing the outcome, but about understanding it.
Okay.
Maybe by piecing together the events that led to the present, by going back and experiencing those moments firsthand, the protagonists and Tenet can gain the knowledge they need to navigate the future, even if they can't rewrite it.
That's a really interesting interpretation. It shifts the focus from changing the past to learning from it.
Hmm.
Like, imagine if historians could actually travel back in time and witness historical events as they unfolded.
Right.
It wouldn't change the past, but it would certainly offer a whole new level of understanding.
Absolutely. And maybe that understanding that knowledge is the real power in Tenet.
Mm-hmm.
Even in a world where time can be manipulated, knowledge is still a valuable tool.
Yes.
It allows you to make informed decisions, anticipate potential threats, and maybe even find ways to mitigate the worst outcomes.
And knowledge plays a crucial role in understanding the motivations of Sator, the film's antagonist.
Right.
Remember how we talked about him receiving gold bars from the future?
Yes.
Well, that seemingly minor detail speaks volumes about how deeply this temporal manipulation runs.
Right. It's like he's profiting from future knowledge.
Yes.
Kind of like insider trading, but on a cosmic scale.
Exactly.
And that wealth and power clearly fuel his ambition to control time itself.
His motivations are complex, though.
Okay.
It's not just about personal gain. Sator becomes obsessed with this idea of reversing time for the entire world because he believes it's the only way to avert some unspecified catastrophe.
Okay.
He's driven by a combination of fear and this misguided sense of altruism.
But we know from the scientists who created the algorithm that reversing time could actually destroy the world.
Right.
It seems like Sator is being manipulated upon in this larger game orchestrated by forces from the future who might have their own agenda.
That's a really insightful observation. The film layers these different motivations and perspectives, creating a multi-dimensional chess match where the players aren't always aware of the full scope of the game or the true consequences of their actions.
It's a reminder that sometimes even those who think they're in control are being played by forces beyond their comprehension.
Right.
It makes you wonder about the true nature of free will, especially in a world where time itself can be manipulated.
And speaking of manipulation, I think it's time we revisit the concept of reversed bullets and unhealing wounds.
Okay.
This idea isn't just a visually arresting gimmick. It actually ties into some of the film's deeper themes.
Okay, I'm still a little fuzzy on how those reverse bullets work.
Okay.
We talk about the perspective thing,
Right.
but I'm not sure I grasp the implications.
Okay.
Why is it so crucial that a reversed person exists in a reversed environment for their injuries to heal?
Remember our car analogy?
Yes.
Imagine if those cars weren't just passing each other,
Right.
but actually collided.
Okay.
In a head-on collision, the damage to both cars is compounded by their opposing forces.
So it's like the damage from a reverse bullet is intensified because it's colliding with a person who's moving through time in the opposite direction.
Exactly. It's like trying to repair a tear in a piece of fabric while someone is simultaneously pulling it apart in the opposite direction.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. So the unhealing wound is a result of this temporal conflict, this clash between forward and reverse time.
Precisely. And this concept takes on a whole new level of significance when you consider Neil, the enigmatic character, who sacrifices himself to save the protagonist. Yeah.
This video really dives into the tragic beauty of his character.
It does.
It mentions that his relationship with the protagonist exists outside of linear time.
Yes.
Can we unpack that a bit more?
Sure.
I'm not sure I fully understand what that means.
It's a mind-bending concept, but it's key to understanding the depth of their connection.
Okay.
Remember how we talked about foreknowledge and closed loops?
Yes.
Well, Neil's story is the ultimate example of this.
Okay.
He's not just a friend.
Right.
He's a future version of himself who's been traveling backward through time for years, working with the protagonist to ensure the mission's success.
Wait, so Neil was sent back from the future by the protagonist? That means he already knows how the story ends, including his own fate. That's heavy.
It's a profound example of how Tenet uses time travel not just as a plot device, but as a way to explore the complexities of human connection.
Okay.
Their friendship, their bond exists outside of linear time. It's bound by shared experience sacrifice and a deep understanding that transcends the limitations of our typical perception of past, present, and future.
Wow, that adds a whole new layer of meaning to his sacrifice.
Yeah.
Knowing that he's been living with unhealing wounds, knowing that he's chosen to walk this path, despite knowing the outcome,
Hmm.
it makes his actions even more poignant.
It does. It speaks to the power of choice, even within the framework of a predetermined path.
Right.
Neil chooses to fulfill his role knowing the cost because he believes in the mission and the person he's fighting alongside.
This conversation is blowing my mind.
I know.
We've covered so much ground,
We have.
but I feel like we've only just begun to unravel the layers of Tenet.
You're right. There's still much more to explore, and the beauty of Tenet is that it encourages multiple viewings each time, revealing new insights and connections.
It really does. And
Yeah.
Tenet is one of those films that, demands to be rewatched,
Oh, yeah.
dissected and pondered.
For sure.
And this video analysis has given us so much to think about already.
Mm.
But it goes, beyond the plot
Right.
and the characters.
Yeah.
It delves into, the film's technical aspects,
Yeah.
particularly its use of sound and music.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. The sound design in Tenet isn't just there for ambiance.
Right.
It's almost another character.
Okay.
It's woven into the fabric of the story.
Interesting.
And one of the most striking examples is how music is used to reflect the temporal mechanics.
Okay, tell me more about that.
Sure.
How does the music in Tenet actually reflect this idea of time reversal?
So in scenes where time is reversed, the music is played in reverse too.
Oh,
Yeah, it creates this incredibly disorienting and unsettling effect. Like the sound itself is being pulled backward through time along with the visuals.
wow, that's an amazing detail that I honestly never noticed before.
Yeah.
It must have been incredibly difficult to compose and edit the music that way to make it work both forward and backward.
Yeah, it definitely required a deep understanding of musical structure and how it impacts our perception.
Mm-hmm.
The video also highlights the film's use of something called the shepherd cone,
Okay.
which is a fascinating auditory illusion
Right.
that creates the impression of a continuously rising or falling pitch.
Ah, the shepherd tone. I've heard of that before.
Yeah.
It's often used in horror movies, right?
Yeah.
To create suspense
Yes.
and a sense of unease.
Exactly. It's a brilliant tool for building tension.
Yeah.
And in Tenet, it perfectly amplifies the feeling of being caught in a temporal whirlwind
Right.
where the rules of time and perception are constantly being challenged.
It's like the sound design itself is another layer of the temporal pincer movement,
Oh, yeah.
squeezing the audience from both ends of the timeline.
Yes, that's a great way to put it.
Yeah.
It's as if the creators of Tenet wanted to immerse us in this world where time is fluid.
Right.
Not just visually, but orally as well.
Totally.
Speaking of the temporal pincer movement,
Yes. The temporal pincer movement.
the video goes into some fascinating detail about how this concept plays out in the film.
It sounds like some kind of top secret military tactic straight out of a time traveler's playbook.
It does.
What exactly does it entail?
So imagine a coordinated attack where one team moves forward in time while another team moves in reverse, essentially hitting a target from both the past and the future simultaneously.
Whoa, that's incredible. It's like having a mirror image of yourself fighting alongside you and anticipating your every move because they've already lived it. But wouldn't coordinating actions across different temporal directions be incredibly difficult, almost impossible?
It would require an immense level of precision and a deep understanding of how actions ripple through time. The video uses a great analogy to illustrate this.
Okay.
Imagine two soldiers clearing a building.
Okay.
One faces forward, the other backward. Each covers the other's blind spots, creating a completely synchronized and unstoppable force.
Oh, that's such a vivid image. It's like having eyes in the back of your head, not just spatially, but temporally as well.
Mhm.
And the film takes this idea to an even grander scale, right?
Absolutely. The entire conflict in Tenet, the battle to control the algorithm and the fate of humanity, is presented as a form of temporal pincer movement. Actions in the past and future are constantly converging, influencing each other, shaping the outcome of the present.
Right. It really makes you think about the butterfly effect,
Mhm.
how even the smallest actions in the past can have massive repercussions on the future and vice versa.
Absolutely. It challenges our linear perception of time and suggests that everything is interconnected. But beyond the mind-bending action and the complex temporal mechanics, Tenet also offers this profound exploration of human connection.
Right. Yeah. I keep coming back to Neil's sacrifice
Hmm.
and the idea that his relationship with the protagonist exists outside of linear time.
Yeah.
It's such a beautiful and tragic element of the film.
It is. It really speaks to the idea that some connections transcend the limitations of time and space.
Right.
It's like their friendship was forged in the fires of this temporal war,
Yeah.
and it's a bond that cannot be broken even by death.
And Neil's sacrifice, knowing his fate and choosing to walk that path anyway, is a testament to the power of free will, even within a seemingly predetermined narrative.
Yes. It's like he's saying that even if our lives are part of this grand temporal loop, we still have the power to choose how we play our role,
Right.
to make meaningful connections and sacrifices that ripple through time.
This whole deep dive into Tenet has left me with a sense of awe and wonder, but also a bit of existential vertigo. This film really pushes you to reconsider everything you thought you knew about time, free will, and the interconnectedness of it all.
It's a film that stays with you long after the credits roll, prompting you to question, to analyze, and to reevaluate your own place in the grand scheme of things.
And I think that's the mark of truly great storytelling. Tenet is a film that not only entertains, but also challenges us to think differently about the world, about time, and about the choices we make within this intricate temporal tapestry.
It's a reminder that even in a world where time can be manipulated, the human element, our connections, our choices, and our capacity for sacrifice remains a powerful force.
Well, I think we've successfully navigated the temporal labyrinth of Tenet. Thanks to this fantastic video analysis, we've gained a deeper appreciation for its intricate plotting, mind-bending concepts, and thought-provoking themes.
It's been a pleasure exploring this film with you. And for you, dear listener, I encourage you to continue pondering the questions that Tenet raises. What if time isn't linear, but a constantly shifting landscape? What if our actions echo through time, influencing both the past and the future? And what if, even in the face of a predetermined path, our choices still have the power to shape the narrative of our lives?
Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and keep your minds open to the infinite possibilities of time. And who knows, maybe one day we'll have our own temporal turnstiles to play with. Just be careful with those reversed bullets.